Hello YouTube. We have had 3 different tournaments complete and conclude. We've had the Pabsy Cup in the morning. We have the Magma Cup that was in the middle of the day. Top Cup will conclude tomorrow. And we have my tournament, the new tournament, format tournament by Jeudy for Jeudy. Each of these had over 100 players. The Magma tournament had, I think, over 300. So really cool. And basically the question I have is, all of the decks, what have we learned from day 1 of the tournament scene? It's important to note that day 1 tournaments are going to have a lot of people test new things, but not everyone is going to have a new deck. So that's going to be sometimes unfortunate, but still, there is a lot to talk about. I do want to talk about the person who won this one. Juggernaut was using a Silvally Oricorio babies. So this deck is kind of heat. If you're unfamiliar with how this is going to play out, obviously this player is using Magma. This deck is going to be better with Pichu because you want all electric energy. This is still an electric energy only deck. Pichu and Magma are energy accelerators. Why would you use these over Zeraora? It's kind of simple. Going first, you can get a Silvally down. Going first, you do Pichu correctly tosses to like the type null. You evolve, you have a 0 retreat, you attack for 100 on your first attack. That is crazy. Shout out Super Chatting Illusion Zeta. Darktina's forever, Darktina is eternal. We will talk about that. So this is really cool. This is actually even faster than Zera. Of course, these are lower HP guys. But Zera wasn't really like an amazing attacker in the first place. And using this, you are allowed to drop Elemental Switch. You're allowed to drop Dawn, right? This deck is running just pure aura, hype moments, and techs. In the new Silver card, Silver was insane. We've seen Silver actually win a game. Silver is the single best card that has come out of this format or this set easily. Shout out X-Rare Individual for the follow. Another deck kind of following this line of thinking was in top 8 was Karamic. Karamic ended up using another deck that's kind of similar, same concept, except you're using Blacephalon. Blacephalon is back. That is kind of crazy. Just joined why one of each baby and not 2 Pichu, because it's the first tournament of the format, right? You might not have all the cards. So this is cool. This is a deck that I didn't expect, but now that we see how strong the babies are with Silvally, it makes sense that the babies are also going to be good with Blacephalon. So it's really cool. This was a deck that popped up in Extra Dimensional Crisis. It was a good deck for like a week and change, but now it's a deck that you're going to be able to use with new energy accelerators. So super excited and happy. Really good stuff over there. Another deck I kind of want to highlight. This deck lost in the top 32. This is a top 32 cut, but this is kind of cementing my thoughts that Exeggutor might be the best will target. This was Execute, 15 trainers, 16 trainers, 14 trainers, how many trainers? Getting a guaranteed 80 is extremely strong with Exeggutor, allowing you to set up either the Alolan Eggy or the other Eggy. Lyra, again, really strong. Celestic Town Elder allows you to pick up an Eggy if you ever need it. So really cool stuff happening here. Again, Silver is just so powerful. It's cool to see if you're looking for another 18 or another Eggy deck or another deck with Will. Please look at this. I'm not the biggest Will believer, but if Will did good here, then Will I am. That doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying. Yabba. Other than that, this tournament was still seeing a lot of the older decks, right? There's Buzzwole Pharaohs, there's some Zards. There are some Darktinas, but it is kind of cool to begin seeing a little bit of what this format can be. And again, the fact that the babies won, immediate meta impact. A tournament that is still going on, but we will talk about it, is the Magma tournament. The important thing and the unfortunate thing is that Darkrai kind of preyed on a lot of unfinished and newer decks. Having a 66.67 win percentage is insane. I don't think that will stay, but it is important to note that they did beat a lot down a lot of these cards. It's really good into fighting. It's always going to be good into fighting boxes. And it might be doing good into Crobat. It's going to be a matchup that we're going to want to look at and test. But still, this was like an amazing tournament. And the current in 7-0 that isn't a Darktina player is a Dragonite player. This deck is sick as hell. They're using Elemental Switch with a Cleffa copy. Cleffa puts a random Pokemon from your deck to your hand, so it's like Shiinotic. They're also using Double Pichu. We are in the baby meta. It's so freaking sick, and the fact that a Dragonite deck was able to do this good is sick. It is important to note that Dragonite does boast a good matchup into a lot of big basic decks because 180 gets through Darkrai, right? If we look at their matchup spread, they beat pretty much all of the like main like big EX decks, right? Because they can't get through. Why the old Amber? The old Amber is still there so that you can like retreat if you don't have Lyra. You can retreat if you have 4 energy, bring in the thing, reset your move by removing it and attacking. But now with Lyras and babies, you don't necessarily need to do that. But also sometimes you don't want to put another baby on and that baby gets Sabrina'd. So it's just having that option is better than other times. No, don't feel dumb. They did beat a lot of Darktina. So if you're looking for a potential Darktina beater, this is going to be that deck. It's a deck that beats big basics, and it's a deck that's getting even more consistent. Some people are running only lightning, only water. I cannot confirm which one this is running. I mean, only water. This might be both still. I don't know. I'm not going to make an assumption on that. Please use what you're comfortable using. Some other decks. A deck that I was kind of surprised. So this was a deck that was popping up a lot. Or later, not later, it was later in the format. It was just Sylveon like Psychic Box. I used it a little bit with the Espeon, but now Espeon EX comes in. Espeon EX actually is really good, surprisingly. I legitimately was sleeping on it. Like I was sleeping on Bellatra. And I think that it is extremely playable. Psychic Box. Psychic EV Box is a very formidable deck, and the 30 healing is actually going to, like, it's actually pretty cool when a lot of this deck, this game's, like, kind of lower power damage level, right? A lot of things are doing less damage in this set, besides, like, obviously the Dragonites, the Ho-Ohs, and so you're able to kind of take advantage of that and heal. So this is really, really cool to see this deck do as good as it did. And it's also time to talk about another deck, right? Another Ho-Oh Lugia with Magby Pichu. Babies are us. They're good. They're great even. This one using a copy of Raikou. And Raikou is just an Oricorio killer, right? It's a low energy Oricorio killer that can be charged by the Magby, can be charged by the Pichu. But can also provide the energy for Lugia, right? So extremely, extremely cool to see all of these decks. The common trend that we are seeing is that a lot of these people are running Double Leaf, which is cool. Double Leaf is just that you really do not want to start Lugia. Lugia is a death sentence. Ho-Oh is cool, but Ho-Oh is the slowest ramper, so this is a way to get around it. Irida kind of cues in that this might be a solo water deck. Otherwise, I wouldn't run this deck without solo. I wouldn't run Irida if this wasn't a solo water deck. So this might be a solo water deck. I don't know. And then Giant Cape, really, really strong. Really, really good deck. Nothing to kind of talk about. Giant Cape putting these at to 170 is important. It's not over, Coffeegawa. It's not over. Other than that, another deck that is going to be fighting to win this tournament is Arceus Crobat. But like all the Crobats. So why would you play a deck like this? Let me talk about this. So there is 4 evolutions in your deck, basically guaranteeing that you should, in theory, see a Crobat. You should see a Crobat. Should there be a Golbat in this deck? Maybe. But you should see a Crobat. They deal 80 damage. They both technically deal 80 for 1, especially with Arceus on the field. But if there's like a front Crobat and like a back Crobat, you can start pinging pretty heavily as you attach to an Arceus. So really, really cool. This, like I said, Crobat wants a energy attachment guy. In my last video, it was Darkrai. In this video, or in this deck, it's Arceus. Lots of cool stuff. What if you played one of the cards that lets you get basics back from the discard? Celestic Town Granny, right? You probably would have to run that one. That is a supporter though, right? But like, it's still probably doable. But also kind of not. This deck doesn't need Old Lady because it doesn't have Golbat, and you only have 2 rare candies. So that's like going to be the concern. Another deck, I will not recommend this deck for ranked, but I will say this is a perfect tournament deck where the decks don't require, where the tournament isn't asking for energy. This is Silvally Babies again, except with Ditto. Ditto is able to copy anything, and when you are playing a tournament, you can switch energies. It's a colorless energy deck, essentially. You can switch to match your opponent's colors. This deck ended up starting off 5-0 and then losing 2 straight, but they are in contention to win this entire tournament. So very excited to see where this deck ends up going. With the Dawn and this elemental switch allows the Ditto to get to a point where it's kind of dangerous, right? The one thing about Copy Anything is it chooses 1 Pokemon from anywhere. So this is an extremely psychotic deck, exactly. So happy to see that. This was a really cool deck. And of course, I have to give a shout to Zatumi, who will also be playing, fellow content creator and YouTuber, fellow Will enthusiast. Use Fighting Box. Fighting Box is extremely good. This version using Hitmonlee and Sudowoodo. My version only had Hitmontop. Really, really cool. Lyra, because all these guys are pretty high retreat cost guys. PCL is just a nice healer. Yo, I will. What's good? Thank you for the Raid Arena. We're just getting through this YouTube video. You like this better than Rampardos Donphan? I don't know if I fully believe in Rampardos Donphan, but I still want to talk about it. I think this is another route. This is not the Rampardos. We're going to get to the Rampardos version, but Ramp is missing. That is true. X speed is also good, because if you start like a Riolu first, or even a Hitmonlee first, you'll be able to X speed into Donphan and attack going first on an evolution turn. And finally, my tournament happened. The new format tournament by Jeudy for Jeudy, where I would get top 32. I would lose, but I would talk about my deck. My deck was Umbreon Greninja. I don't believe in this deck as much. I think that after playing this deck, Sylveon Greninja just feels way better. But it was cool when it works. It's really strong when it works. The Umbreon Greninja really combo. Some people are running Baby Umbreon. I support the Baby Umbreon. I ran Silver Red card, which can easily be replaced for other cards. So that is my thought. But it's an okay deck. It didn't feel as strong as when I played Crobat earlier today, but it is a deck. We should talk about the winner. The winner, Marinara, man. This was a Dark Tina mirror, but there were certain cool things, like the fact that Silver was in this deck. Silver, Red card, Mars, right? All really strong cards. Dark Pendant isn't really seeing too much play, which is kind of crazy, but that's mostly because of the fact that this game is a 20 card deck. It turns out that adding Dark Pendant is pretty hard. There were a few decks that did it, but not every deck does it. But this deck, just a strong deck. Dark Tina, like I said, run really good in Mars. If you're trying to sneak an easy climb to Master Ball, just learn how to play Dark Tina. No one's going to mirror match you. But deck I want to talk about Snoopy. Snoopy ended up top 8, and there was 2 Crobat players that top 8'd. And this deck is the same version that I kind of mentioned, but this runs in my last video, but this has Cyrus. Because Umbreon, after playing with it, isn't always the strongest. I think in my version, I would drop Umbreon, but the Umbreon did get some KOs sometimes. I can see X speed in the slot. There's been quite a few different people building different versions. I think I am set that this deck wants 5 basics at most. I can, like, if you're really, really trying to start Zubat. So that's kind of where my head is at with this card. Nihilego is like an okay version as well. We'll see. This deck has a lot of potential. I think this will be a tier 1 deck. This is a dark deck. It's only dark. Only dark. Sylveon is there to draw cards, guys. Do not get confused by the fact that there's a Sylveon. There's a reason why there's a Sylveon, because playing Sylveon with Crobat is to draw cards, alright? Please don't get confused. X-Speed was really cool tech, though. I can see X-Speed in this. But Cyrus is so good. Cyrus is so good. I would want to find a way to add Lily into this deck if possible. I like Giant's Cape because fighting is scary. You can get donked pretty easily. Both of these guys are weak to fighting. And finally, another top 4 list was RX4N using a Donphan Rampardos deck. This is pretty cool. Lyra allows you to kind of switch between them. But it is important to note that they are using the 20 damage fan fee because, again, this is a day 1 tournament. They did not have the guy. So that's like kind of okay. PCOM is cute. I saw them use PCOM to like throw a Rampardos to pick up a Donphan. I've seen them also do it like vice versa. And I think that this deck is strong. The only thing it's really missing, it's kind of reminiscent of Garchomp, Rampardos. The only thing it's really missing is just like a way to like consistently find fossils. But it's like every fossil's problem, right? When you're not running Sylveon Slop. But still really cool. And again, congrats. No energy ramp up either. I think I'll end this tournament recap with, I think someone mentioned Seagun posted a few deck lists. So let's look at some of Seagun's deck list. And that will be where we end today. If you don't know, Seagun is the rank 1. They finished 9,000 points. Kind of insane. But they posted a few decks. They posted this deck, which is Ori Sylveon D-Knight. It's kind of a stall deck. I think this deck is okay, but still kind of cool. And then they built their own Ho-Oh, mentioned the Irida. Irida means solo water. You can get the energy from Magma and Pichu. So really cool. And I think that's the only 2 decks that they've really shown. And we've already seen a Dragonite deck, and we've already seen another Ho-Oh deck do good. This meta is going to be really interesting. I'm excited, and this is only the first day.